Okay, good afternoon. Thanks everyone for being here. Appreciate it. What we're gonna talk about today are current projects that we are working on from the work plan that you guys got, council got, and then also some projects that are on hold because it's winter and then they're gonna pick up again in the spring. And then if council has any questions about anything else that we don't talk about, just feel free to do that. And then what Scott and I talked about today was because there's so much information on here, every Public Works Committee meeting going forward, we will touch on this plan.
Yeah, because it's just everything and it's too much to even begin to digest in a single sitting. So we'll just take several items that are really pertinent or things that are pressing right now. And then we'll just kind of carry on through that process through the next several set of meetings. So go ahead.
Yep, I think that is good to do it that way. So one of the, this isn't really gonna be in any particular order either. The tower, the vertical evacuation tower, we've talked about a few times recently. And what we are doing with the tower currently is we're about probably 75% plans completed at this point. When we get to 95%, we'll get all of the invoices buttoned up, get all of the reimbursements in from FEMA, our match, the Department of Commerce, and then return what money we didn't need for this first phase of planning to FEMA. Scott is working with Department of Commerce to get an extension on that one because they're really good about doing extensions, Department of Commerce specifically. So extending that grant and then applying currently, Tim has for the 2025 BRIC grant for the additional money for the tsunami tower. And what we learned after the agenda setting, I know Rich was on it. Denise, were you on this last week's agenda setting? So during agenda setting, I thought that we still needed additional funds, but after we've put everything together and with the Department of Commerce money, we won't be needing to come to council for additional funds. So what our plan is to update is Scott and I, when it's his staff report time, we're going to give an update. I'll talk about the project. Scott will talk about the funding. But the good news about that is with this BRIC grant, our current match that we have, extending that date, and then the Department of Commerce money, we should be good to go there.
The match that we have will cover more than 10%. So we will not have to get additional funds. We have a Department of Commerce money that she was mentioning that expires, I believe, June 30th, 2025. So that's when it's, was it 25?
I think it's June 25th.
Or June 25th of 25. Okay, so that, and the mayor and I were up in Olympia yesterday, meeting with our legislators on a number of issues. But one of those was with Theringer's office about that. And Theringer's office has kindly agreed to write the Department of Commerce saying, please extend it. We've explained our circumstances. We explained what happened with regards to the original price of the tsunami tower, how it doubled after COVID, the increases, and really all we need is Theringer to talk to Commerce about it and say that, hey, they are moving forward. This money is money that they absolutely need. And we've also made it very clear that if there's going to be a second or a third one built, the city cannot come up with $1 million match for these things. We're simply not going to be able to do that moving forward. It's unrealistic. We are going to need money from state agencies in order to supplement that federal money that will go through a pass-through through the Washington State Department of Emergency Management. And we can't say yet that we're hopeful that that will happen, but we're certainly letting it be known that this is something we cannot afford. If EMD, if emergency management really wants us to get this done, we will need other help. But right now on this tsunami tower, despite what was discussed mildly at agenda setting, we will not need new money at this time.
That's great news, guys.
Thank you.
The golf course bridge sewer main that is right over here across the road from us, that project is 95% complete. The project will finish in April unless we have an early spring. When the asphalt pits open, they still have, if you were over by that bridge, you'll see on either side, the asphalt is chipped up and there's gravel down now. That is going to be re-asphalted and will look like it should. So that'll happen in the spring. As soon as the pit's open, we'll be pretty much first on the contractor's list to get that done. And then close that one out.
Any good news on the netting?
The netting is due, I don't remember the date, but it went back out to bid, maybe the 27th, but don't quote me on that.
You know, it went up,
Send
back
you
out
an
to bid.
email and let you know the date.
But they are going to, on, I believe, March 1st, open the driving range. We just got, but without, but closing a part of it. So you will be able to hit the ball. They have sort of a plan and they're just kind of waiting for their insurer to give them a green light to do that.
Good.
But I spoke with Mike about that today, because obviously we wanted that netting up already. Bids didn't come back exactly what we were looking for. Well,
The
go ahead.
this one, the two lowest bids were non-responsive bidders based on not having some L&I licenses up to date. They'd expired last year on the two lowest bidders and
And I didn't know if you were aware of that already, Rich, or not, but that is what happened. So we had to put it back out to bid, and of course, that would delay things because, so we're like trying to come up with a plan B, because I've gotten a number of calls. Everyone wants that driving range open. They're gonna try to partially open it, but they're waiting on their insurance company to give them the green light for it. But their plan is March 1st, I believe, to open it. So let's hope that happens.
Are they suggesting that they are now the ones that cover it with their insurance rather than accusing us of being the ones that needed to protect it?
This could go back and forth. That's the thing. So there's a possibility that they're gonna need some kind of indemnification, and then I gotta look at what they're looking at. So
Okay,
you're working on their end first, and then they'll send it over to me.
the convention center soffit painting is 40% complete and they will be picking back up again in April as well. Unless we have some weird wacky winter weather in April. That is their plan, and then it should be completed at the end of July is what the current schedule from them says, and I'll keep giving updates for that. And again, they'll be working with George and myself on the schedule, so they're not there during, Razor Clam, move in, move out and those things, and all of the good events that we've got coming up for
Right.
spring and summer. The 1 million gallon water tanks, we have 3, 2 of them we've awarded to DN Tanks to do the repairs, retrofitting on those tanks. They have spalling, concrete and rebar exposed, so that project will also pick up in March or April. And looking forward to getting that one done as well. I have some operational things that we are working on. We'll be putting out information about spring cleanup in the next month. As we always do, timber bridge inspections are due this year. We have not had to, in my tenure, do bridge repairs. Everything has been good. Concrete last year was good. Timber the year before that, those bridges were all good as well. So as soon as the timber bridges are inspected, it's not due until September, the actual report, but they are putting together, Fickett is putting together the proposal. That's who did our inspections last year. And we'll be giving council updates on how those bridge inspections went again. 11?
It's I was gonna say, I think it's, okay, I'm trying to get, concrete is what, 8? Is concrete 8 and timber's 11? I can't remember.
No, because we don't have that many total. I can't remember.
You know what, let's
I'll
get
find out.
let's get back.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
separated in the file, but I have to.
Yeah,
Been almost
and
a
and
year,
they're reviewed every other year,
In the bridge.
and we had to go back and do the interlocal agreement, and that's with the county for the inspection process. That part I remember doing.
Yeah.
The actual number off the top of my head eludes me.
Oh, I can't read my handwriting on this one.
Stip?
Nope, this one before STIP. Oh, the Greenways pickup.
Yeah,
WPU, the Greenways pickup. That is going to start in April and it is out to bid right now, so. bids are due in a week and a half on that. And we'll be excited to offer that again. That I have to say is the most requested item
Services.
that I get phone calls about is when is it starting up again, and get the most compliments on that as a service that
Yeah.
the city offers. So that's pretty cool that we started that last year. STIP is upcoming. I believe it's due in May. I got an email about a month ago, but council just know that the STIP information will be coming to a council meeting near you soon. And anything that you guys have, if you wanna, we can maybe dedicate 15 minutes or something in one of these meetings.
I think that's a good idea to go over like what it is we're gonna be looking for.
That
Yeah.
the state transportation plan or something?
Yeah,
Correct.
the
For our roads.
transportation improvement
Yeah,
plan. It's the one that's got, if it's not on the STIP, we can't request federal funding. So there are things on there that we have done before that was on the STIP, like the Point Brown crosswalk. But then there's other things that are real pie in the sky type.
ferry study, the ferry,
Yeah, the ferry study for between here and Westport.
yeah. But it's just if it's not on there, we can't get money for it. So it's just, you know, you kind of throw everything that you know will go out and then a handful of things that, you know, in an ideal world, it would be great, but.
That's due in May.
What's that?
That's due in May.
Yes, yep.
I think the last time we did that, Rich, you had some interesting.
Yeah, I remember that. This is one.
Wastewater treatment plant, one.
Oh, it's due tomorrow.
Bridge, but, yeah. Yeah. Remember we had the bridge to Westport.
Becky's hieroglyphics are so fun to decipher. It's incredible.
The wastewater treatment master plan is due tomorrow. Request for qualifications is due tomorrow at 3:00. So I'll have more information for that at our next meeting.
And, my understanding is that the sewer rate is going to
Yes.
be part of
The
it.
sewer rate is part of that, and the bid documents, well, it's not a bid, the request for qualifications all state that the sewer rate study has to be done first before all of the rest of the master plan, because they can take quite a while to do. Sewer rate is the top priority for that, yeah.
Would you like to discuss the berm at all and where we are?
Yeah, we can. I was gonna ask you.
Okay.
So where we're at with the berm right now, it is going to be done in a day or two, and early next week, Ecology will be here doing surveys of the work that was done so that they can get okay, the berm is done, here's the survey, this is how it is, and then we can see how the waves interact on the berm. And that will help the engineers to determine the longer term measure that they are currently working on for us. We are applying for a BRIC grant for that longer term measure. Is that 5 or 7 million that we're requesting?
5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Kinda-
We don't have exact numbers yet because we really can't.
They were leaning towards 6, but you know, I mean, that's preliminary, so.
Okay. So more to come on that berm work next year, and
I will say this about it, though, if I
Yeah,
can jump in.
please.
A couple of things. Number one, that, you know, when we started this project of getting this emergency berm in place, both George Kaminsky and especially Latimer Sepsis said they thought they're kind of our, you know, experts on the engineering and the mechanics of it all. And they we don't think you're gonna be able to get this in time to save a number of these properties. We really don't. And we were lucky on some of the king tides, the ones that were really badly anticipated or that we thought were gonna be quite bad in February. And so just through a lot of diligence on the part of Becky and Marshall and other parts of the administration, we were able to get that done and put in, and much to kind of the experts' surprise, and they think it's a really great job. They've gone out there and they've looked at it and walked it and said, you know, we're amazed you were able to get this done as fast as you could, and it looks structurally very solid and sound to me. So, you know, I'm gonna knock on wood that another king tide doesn't come in and change everything I'm saying today, but I think that we were able to save a lot of infrastructure and property down there.
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Marshall was really integral with making this happen, as well as
Yeah.
Tim getting the commerce funds for
Yeah.
three
allowing
hundred and
that.
fifty some $1,000 first, and then he had another meeting and Commerce said that's not enough, so Tim,
Yeah.
working with our grants, got us $688,000 towards the work that we're currently doing that's finishing up right now, which is great.
So we will not have to go back and ask for more money on this part, but we don't know what the final firm is gonna cost us.
Yep.
So,
That's what I've got.
okay, and then the only thing that I'll talk with is on my end, reach back out to the University of Washington and their Livable City Year project, kind of through Washington Sea Grant. We are working on a tentative plan where they're going to give us an intern who's going to come down here and kind of work with myself, Marshall, the mayor, to do a comprehensive look at Point Brown. You know, where, if we could get parking, where would it be? If we were to get sidewalks, where it would look at this, the intern is not going to be making these decisions. We're just going to relay that information to this individual. That individual is then going to go back to the University of Washington, or a gentleman named Brandon Bourne runs the University of Washington Livable City Year program. They've done like 23 different projects, like in Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, you know, how to improve your downtown, how to improve your traffic flow, how to improve your parking. They get an expert professor or two from that field, from either the College of Engineering or, you know, someone who's, you know, traffic studies majors, those kind of things. They bring a class together and they brainstorm this, and this becomes sort of their project for not semester, because you did some trimester system, but for a trimester, and it can go on longer, it could go into the summer, but that's what we're looking at. You know, what would it really take to get sidewalks on Point Brown, to get an adequate parking flow, and then once we have that, phase 2 would be beautification measures. You know, what would, once we kind of know that, we all know that sidewalks needs to happen. You know, we know that's like the big missing piece of this entire community. But then once we have that in place, like, what kind of trees do we want to have planted? What kind of landscaping do we have to make that look nice? And that would be a part of it. So we're in those initial consultation phases. They've already sent us a proposal for first steps. I'm going to be writing them back this week, and then we're going to move forward on it. So.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, especially if you look at, you know, what Bellevue and particularly what Redmond has done with their
Yeah,
downtown.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Could be really, really nice.
I think obviously if there's any one single thing that would change the look of Ocean Shores for the better, it would be that kind of revitalization of that Point Brown corridor, getting sidewalks with nice landscaping on it. It would just, your first impression as a tourist would be, you know, it would be different than what you're getting today.
Becky, do you have a minute to give us an update on the work you're trying to do on the dog parks? I know that you had some ideas. I just don't know if you're pretty busy. I don't know if anything's come forward.
Yeah, so the last I talked, and this was probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe longer, but Kristen was gonna look at some pricing for the engineered wood chips, so I'll reach out and touch base with her. And we've talked about the French drains as well, and putting those in before the wood chips, and so we're definitely talking about, I mean, we know that it needs to be resolved and how much water is in there. The gentleman, Mike Cairns, who has a group of volunteers that's gonna build the shelter, they're gonna hold off on building the shelter for the dog park until the ground and the big dog park is resolved. So that kind of is also pushing me forward a little bit more as well.
There's a lot of water in there.
Well, there's another thing to that. Someone, we're not entirely sure who, because Public Works is pretty sure, the street department's pretty sure it wasn't them, had been turning on the sprinklers and turned on our sprinkler systems, which we've now master locked off. So one of the reasons, the mayor and I went out to look at the area around the bathrooms, because people were saying, there's a lot of ice out there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's an exceptional amount of ice on that. That doesn't even look right. There's like, it's not possible. It's almost an 1/8 of an inch thick. And it's because someone was turning on the sprinkler systems or to reset it, so they were going off at night night. So that was accounting for a lot of that water. So since
Yeah.
we
it's also
shut that
not
off,
helpful.
we should now, because, and Alex is, the street department said, well, no, we did not do this. So since we have shut that off, I'm anticipating a great deal less water, and it's probably the cold weather has passed on the ice front. But that was a definite contributing factor, which is why you were seeing it at the basketball court, that ice, and you were seeing it by the bathrooms, because that was sprinkler water that was rushing down and freezing in place. And we were salting it and it would be like back the next day. And
Right.
like, why is this
Extra
ice
cap.
coming back after we're salting it? That explains it. So hopefully that issue will be resolved. And then the other issues, cameras going into our parks.
Yes, cameras
Uh,
going.
So we're gonna put in cameras at the skate park in addition to some additional lighting there. Putting in cameras at Chinook Park and then cameras at North Bay Park. Because some charming individual shot out our lights there with a pellet gun. So we're looking to find who does those things.
Tell us a little bit about your partnership with the school district. You guys are working together on the baseball field?
Yeah, and Tim might know more about that than I do. The mayor's really been the one pushing, working with the school district, which has been great because of his contacts with the Booster Club and things. But we've extended the fence for the baseball diamond. It's taller and it's longer. And we've talked about doing additional work to the backstop as well. And I know that the mayor and Tim are reaching out to the Seabrook Foundation and the Booster Club to also see if they can help with funding for that.
That project, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
dangerous overthrow to first base and third base. The fence was simply not high enough and you get a wild throw from a shortstop, someone's gonna get hit in the head. So that it needed to be updated, needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
And then the Hayaks would kind of, officially use that as their baseball stadium, as their
Yeah.
baseball
The
field.
plan is for that to be their official home field.
Do you have any idea what the budget needed from charitable people is? What you're looking for, or they're looking for?
The first phase of the fencing was between $14,000 and $15,000. And Tim, do you remember what the backstop was?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think it was 16
Okay,
for the backstop or upwards of 15.
so about 30,000.
And it's just because they want to extend the top and bring it over a little bit to keep balls contained. But the structure that's there with the existing backstop is not strong enough to hold the weight on the top. So they would have to completely do 4-inch poles. So everything would have to be removed and completely rebuilt. So the cost, it's gonna cost right around $15,000 for that as well.
Is this
We got
something
a good start on the dugouts are protected and we've got gates now too, so it's contained pretty good at this point.
is this something you're asking the booster fund to do, or is the city paying for it and then looking for reimbursement? What's your goal?
I would say both, because the first part is complete and the city paid for it. So if we get reimbursement for that.
But I
that's
think,
what we're
let me
looking for.
put that question on hold, because I know that the mayor was in a conversation with the North Beach School District like just today
Oh, good.
about that invoice. So let me time that out and say, I don't know. I think North Beach may be paying for it, but they may be doing it through the Booster Club and other elements. So file that under, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I know he sent them that invoice, so they would have it. So we may have paid it initially, but I think possibly under the impression that North Beach School District would give it back to us, but I just don't know the mechanism by which that happens, so. Yeah, okay. And the vendors are suspense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've been in contact the whole time.
Yeah.
And then as an aside, Tim, I don't know if they know this about you, but you were a baseball coach for some 30 years, you said? How long?
Not 30.
How long did you say?
No, I've got about 12 years.
12 years in as a coach, okay, so
High school and college.
we have real expertise, yes, but it was like a college baseball coach too, so.
Yeah, for 5 years.
All right, so fun fact. Anything else, council?
No, I just had a couple of questions about this. I think it would be easier, and I think it would be a useful tool for the public. You have several completed projects on
Yep.
here. I think if you separated those out, I'm assuming this is a Excel spreadsheet.
It is, and they are separated under, there's a tab for like what we're currently working on. There will be a tab for future needs, but probably not for another month or so. There's a completed and an operations, maintenance, and a master plan. So there's, yeah, those are the separate tabs that we've got.
Okay, I think that would be more helpful than in this particular
Yeah.
spreadsheet, where everything is integrated.
The other thing I tried to do today and it wasn't working, so, but I will do it, is this goes all the way back to 2023, and some of them in the notes section goes back even earlier than that, before my time. And I don't want to lose all of that information, but I'm gonna do another column that has the last 2 years, and then we'll just have a current this year so that it's
Yeah.
shorter
and
as
I'm
well.
assuming that when you look at
The wider.
the project number, if it's, 24-11, that's from 24,
Yes.
and then you do have some that they go back like 22 here.
Yep.
And actually, I'll just pick one that says 22-09, spring cleanup, 14,000. When I'm looking at the money that's allocated here, even if it's an old project, does
Yep.
that mean that this is allocated from 2025? From our current?
No,
budget? Or
mm-mm.
is it?
That's in the completed tab. There's not
Okay.
one in the current tab.
Okay,
But there is money allocated to it. It's just not on here yet for 2025.
Becky, Scott, I've got one last question. Uh, details. I know too many cities are really good at getting reports and then putting them on the shelf and they collect dust. We've been working this capital facility plan. Obviously, I know Becky's working it, but it was also a computer system situation where it was a little onerous to update everything and to get it in the system so it could be used for the future. And I know that the mayor had kind of given the nod to hiring people that worked for the company that did the study for us to help us get everything in the system so that from now and for the next 5 or 10 years, it's updated and in there and easily accessible to city employees and such. How do you feel how do you feel about the progress we're making with that? Because I can't expect Becky to do it. Even though I know she's done a lot.
I am doing it. And it's not a ton of additional work right now because we've gotten through it when we had all gone and walked and all of the notes that we took. I did go back through, and I've made those updates. That was the hardest part. So now as we do any of the maintenance work, it's like one little project, one thing at a time. So it's easy enough for me to go back in and do. I do think that it would be beneficial if we did a session at this meeting with council
That might be
to
good.
show you
Yeah.
guys on the screen. And if you wanted to get a sign on, again, we can definitely set that up for you.
yeah, I think that would be useful, because even in the budget request, the capital facilities is separate from the public works.
Yeah,
And
it is.
they're very closely related.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep, they are. And it's one of those things where it would be over 10,000 pages to try to print
Yes,
everything.
it's enormous.
No, we don't want those.
Yeah, no, nobody would ever, yeah, nobody should ever get through it, because in the printouts is, you guys had stacks like this, and that was only the top 2 categories, and there's 5 categories for everything. So if you imagine, it would be,
I didn't keep one.
but we'll go through it online and you can see it. And Scott and I are also we were talking with a company called ClearPoint, and ClearPoint can take the information on that website and pull it into their platform and move it into our website with a link or a click on our website. And they showed us other cities that have done that. So that's something we might look at doing next year, and then it would be available for everybody.
Everybody, that's,
So,
we just had literally
it
had that
was
call like
really
last
cool.
week. So,
Yeah.
So one of the things that we were seeing is, and I'm gonna get the number wrong, but hypothetically $8 million worth of projects that needed to be done now.
Mhm.
And we knew that that wasn't perfectly accurate information, and you were going to, as you walked through, you were gonna go update it But what we as council members don't have, or we haven't taught ourselves how to look at this, we don't know what the true list is for future projects.
Yeah,
And although I know it's not $8 million right now in the next 24 months, it's something, but we don't know what it is.
Well, and we don't know for a couple reasons, and one of those has to do with some union issues that we're working on because we're trying to get through the building trades, if this all goes through, the ability to hire carpenters that would work for the city on a part-time basis, and then when we don't need them, we don't need them. Same thing with plumbers and ditto, and that could massively change the cost structure it is for what we're looking at doing. Well, long story short, that we're in the process of resolving that issue. Let me just phrase it that way.
With the exception of that point where we would do things internally instead of hypothetically having vendors or hiring them out. Do you have a new updated number that's more accurate than the first ones we got?
not off the top of my head, but what we talked about at council, and I can pull that, there was a PowerPoint during budget season. I can pull that because that has the number on it and nothing's changed since that, because I'm working under, yeah, I'm working under the guise that, we are going to be able to hire somebody to work for the city and save all of the bidding and extra cost on that. So I'm still going under this.
You know, some of the work that we did is hypothetically, they might say North Bay Park needed $400,000. And we walked through there and crossed off a bunch of things and modified things to where reality is maybe North Bay Park only needed $200,000. But that's, I don't know if we have the new updated numbers, even though they might still include having to hire it out.
Yeah, I put this together for council for budgeting after I did the updates after we walked. So this is up to
Okay.
date. Yep.
Okay.
So the total is $1,297,841.
And that's for critical for this,
That's, yeah, the critical for
Like the
2025.
The 24-month period.
2026.
for this biennium budget. I just want to make sure this is biennium.
Yeah, for this biennium budget. And then the cost savings. I have $764,396. That's the estimate of what we could save by doing the work in-house, which is obviously wicked significant from a financial standpoint, so. But yeah, I can resend this to you as well, so you have it.
Well, I'll have it there. I just wasn't
Okay.
sure how we were progressing
Yeah.
with that company.
Yeah, we have them, we've signed them on for another year to have access to their platform. And then between now and when that expires, we'll be working to see what we can do to migrate it more into our system. And I also like this other company that would be able to migrate into our system. It's just more user friendly too. I don't love Amoresco system.
Yeah, no, it
It
is,
works, but
it's
it
very
could be better.
wonky. It's, to me, it's like a weird Excel program. It's not as user friendly as it could be.
No, it's
So-
horrible.
Yeah, is difficult to sort, and I think the main thing is if we can get it into a more user friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's literally the meeting we just had, like last week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
all right. I can take your question offline. We can't do it during the meeting, right? Is that, offline? Okay, all right. Thanks, council members. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Enjoy, Rich.